again for joining us. We'll start with Coach. Maybe if you could just give us some opening thoughts on what it's like to finally be in a game week.
Yeah, obviously excited. A lot of emotions have gone on since way back in August when the announcement was initially made that we were going to postpone the season. Obviously going through that stage of being disappointed and trying to keep the team positive the best way that we could. And, I credit, the 22 seniors and the guys that have been around here for a little while. I credit those players for just trying to do a great job of keeping everybody together. And then obviously so excited when we finally got the word that we're going to have a season, a 6-game regular season followed by a championship game. So obviously it's been, a long time leading up to this point, but really proud of, really what I would say the last 6, 7, 8 days where things have started to really come together. Obviously you could tell early on here when we got back started to practice that we were rusty. I could tell we hadn't practiced in a long time or been on the field in a long time, but it's exciting. It's officially game week. Told the guys after practice today that this would be what I would consider the last bonus day, if you will, for Miami, because tomorrow would start into what a normal game week preparation would look like for a midweek game. So we're excited. The guys have been great as far as their preparation, and obviously excited to start out with Miami.
All right, Jordan Gusky.
Hey, Mike, I know I asked you yesterday about the Detroit or Bust, mantra motto that you all have. But I was just curious, are there any moments that have happened, since you all have been back on, after the cancellation, since you all been able to actually start practicing again, that have shown you just given you the confidence that, that can really hold true, that can be something that's attainable?
It started way back in January when the guys kind of, the seniors on this football team and, after the sour taste that we all had at the end of the season there, we finished on a positive note with a big win against Miami, but to lose those 3 games that we did in the way that we lost them right there at the end of the game, that was an awful feeling that those guys carried into the offseason. And so the Detroit or Bust started way back in January, and that was presented to me, from the guys on this team that were seniors. And to be honest, it came from Bryce. And so I love it. It tells me, everything I need to know about this team, the belief in each other. And so it's not really been something we discuss or we don't talk about it all the time. There's enough reminders. Everybody knows what we're trying to get done here. And so, but the beautiful thing is, we've talked about Detroit or Bust, but, obviously the only thing that matters is just making sure we take advantage of every day that we have, getting better one day at a time. There's always something to improve on. We got to get better from the previous day, cleaning up, a mistake that might have happened the day before. So the attitude, the focus is right. We don't talk about that. It's just something that was, that was our mindset. And, the way we go about our business and the action that you see from the guys every day tells you everything you need to know.
And do you all talk about those 3 losses at all either? Or is that just something that's also packed into just preparation and just knowing how you got to get better?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we tried to challenge ourselves on from those 3 losses, we didn't deliver in the crunch at the end of the game. We had an opportunity. So we've tried to, over and over again here in practice, we put ourselves in those scenarios where that was at stake at the end of practice, whether it was a 2-minute drill or the offense versus defense. We've done that live here in practice leading up to this point. Obviously we haven't gone live here in the last few days, but early on here we were going live, and the only way it was going to be a true game-like scenario like it was in those situations was we had to tackle people and take them to the ground. That was the only way that we were going to get a true feel for that and be in a competitive environment like that. So we've repped that over and over and over every single day, putting ourselves in those scenarios in practice and making sure that everybody knew there was a winner and a loser each and every day when we walked off the practice field. So we don't necessarily talk about those games. Obviously, we don't need to, but we try to put ourselves in those scenarios in practice to rep them the best we can.
And then last one, and then I'll mute myself here again. Just are there any players? I know there were no reported positives this past weekend, but are there any players, whether it's COVID or otherwise, injury or otherwise, that at this point right now it won't be available that you anticipated would have been?
No, we've been fortunate. Obviously we've dealt with a few, false positives or whatever you want to call it. But thankfully, the system worked itself out. We were able to get those guys back in a very quick fashion. So we've dealt with that. But thankfully, we've been getting some guys that had what I would consider normal camp bumps and bruises that might have missed a few days. We've been getting those guys back here within the last week. And so we expect to be, all hands on deck when we get on the bus there, to leave on game day. So I've been fortunate on that, and guys need to continue to do a great job of just taking care of their bodies and staying after the recovery piece of it.
Okay, Connor Smith.
Hey, Coach, this is Connor Smith from Ball State Daily News. I was just curious, given the fact that your last regular season game was against Miami nearly a year ago, what's your mindset like right now, given the delayed start compared to what it was then?
Yeah. Again, thankful to be back playing football, and obviously this is our rival. Miami of Ohio is a rival for us. And, just because things ended in a great way for us a year ago, beating them here at home and, for the first time getting the Red Bird Rivalry trophy, this team knows there's no needed extra motivation, if you will. I mean, this is a rival. We don't like them. They don't like us. And they're the MAC champion. We got the Red Bird Rivalry trophy, but they got the ultimate trophy that we won. So our guys, have been very focused, working extremely hard, have been, I always try to, continue to remind them to be obsessed with preparation, because preparation equals confidence, and that leads to success. So we've been staying after it and taking advantage of, the weather's been pretty cooperative. We've been lucky in regards to that. And so just everybody's excited, and every day that we get one day closer, you can just see the look in the players' eyes, and the excitement level just increase, one more notch. And so we'll be ready, and we're excited to get a game here and play for the first time in a long time.
And then would you say that there's a different feeling heading into this year's season opener compared to years past?
Well, obviously it's a unique year. 2020 has been like like there's no year to compare that to. It's been a crazy year, and so there's just been week after week, month after month that something new has presented itself. So we're just thankful to be back playing the game that every one of us loves, and it was taken away for a period of time there, and it's amazing what happens to you when you take away something that you love. And so all of our guys are appreciative. We've got a veteran team. We got a lot of depth. We got a hungry team. So I'm excited, and obviously we're anticipating, you're starting with conference play, and you're starting with your rival, your most hated rival, if you will. So there's not a whole lot that needs to be said, and our guys know that, and we'll be ready.
Okay, Coach, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
We'll go to Ian Hansen next.
Hey, Coach. So I know, when I talked to you earlier, you talked about the excitement level for Tyler Stockton in the role of defensive coordinator. Can you kind of talk about how the chemistry is built up in these recent practices and your excitement level for him?
Yeah, obviously it was a tough hand to be dealt for Tyler Stockton and for Kevin Lynch. Those guys are both taking on new roles as coordinators, and to not have spring practice at all or not have training camp at all, that's a tough situation to be in. But I couldn't be more proud of the job that Tyler's done in order to install the defense, getting creative with coming up with virtual playbooks to present to the guys during COVID when we didn't have any face-to-face interaction. Everything was on Zoom. Did a tremendous job of teaching the defense and the adjustments and the tweaks that he was going to make to our guys. And they've responded in such a positive way. And he's done a great job of instilling what I would like to consider the swagger that you look for in a defense to be able to play championship defense. And I've been on championship teams, and it all starts with the guys in the trenches, and then defense wins championships. Offense gets too much credit and too much glory. Defense wins championships, and there's no better leader for our defense than Tyler Stockton, because his attitude, his confidence oozes among our players, and they take on that same swagger of our defensive coordinator.
Yep, and then going on, expanding on the defense, I know you talked about wanting to get to the quarterback a little bit more. Can you talk about the grad transfers and, your excitement level there?
Yeah, very excited, when you have Chris Algiman come in here, All-American from Sacred Heart. Chris is not a hard guy to spot. He's 6'4", 280 pounds. And he's polished. He's played college football. And so it doesn't get enough credit that there's good football players all across the country. And Chris comes in here. He brings such a veteran presence. He's polished. He's going to make a big impact to our defense. Anthony Ekpe from Rice that comes in here. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife type of guy. I know that's been talked about before. And when I say that, we expect to utilize him in many different ways on defense and kind of line him up all over the field. But he's a pass rusher, and he's got a knack. He's strong. He's a guy, too, that came in here, and you can tell right away that, all right, this guy's a graduate. He's been through a strength and conditioning program. Strong guy, very sharp guy. And so it's been awesome to see those guys on the field. Josh Durango's a junior college interior defensive lineman that we brought in here from California. He's going to make a big impact for us. And so excited about that because, Coach Stockton, he's done a lot of really positive things, and he knows, hey, man, he's invested a lot of time and making some adjustments to how we attack the quarterback up front. And I can't wait to see that pay off.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Blake, did you have something?
Yes, I did.
Go for it.
Awesome. Well, hey, Coach, thank you for your time. This is Blake Dollier at NewsLink, Indiana. You mentioned a little bit about so far how the weather's been holding up pretty well and everything. How do you foresee your team responding if, for example, with the later games in the year, you guys may get some snow, sleet, really inclement weather like that? How's your team going to prepare for that?
Yeah, the good thing is that we got a lot of guys that have played football around here, so they know what to expect here once you get into these late season games and these action games. They've been in those before, when you have 22 seniors and you got a lot of experience on your team. Those guys have been in those cold weather games before. So it's not something that's new. Certainly, you got to get yourself mentally where you need to be to play in those cold weather games. But let's obviously every day we're at practice right now. It certainly helps from a motivational standpoint when you look over the end zone complex and you can see that indoor facility just emerging in the distance there. The steel's up, the roof is up. So that's a great motivator too, that our guys are out there working and we're in cold weather, but one day down the road, there'll be a nice home there. So that it does get unbearable for practice, then we can slip inside and get some good work in.
Awesome. Thank you. I've got one more question for you. I want to talk about the dynamic of the team from last year, obviously kind of dropping some games later in the season that we really didn't want to drop, but what really separates last year's team from this year's team with all the new guys coming in, like you mentioned, and now just looking at a fresh start here?
Yeah. Every team is different. Obviously, there's no guarantee just because some of the things we did well a year ago that it doesn't just automatically assume that we're going to do those well again this year. Every year is a new year. You start out with the process way back in January, and you got to work on your weaknesses. And, we've got a veteran team with a lot of guys that have played football, but really what I think is I'm excited the most about this team. We were able to attack some of our weaknesses from a personnel standpoint with the addition of some of the grad transfers we discussed, and they're going to provide a good boost for us in terms of being able to get after the quarterback. And so, it's the seniors that deserve the credit. These are 22 guys that believe in each other. They've been through a lot of growing pains around here, some days that were really hard on all of us and some sleepless nights because we had some awful losses. But every year we've narrowed the gap, and I think our guys believe and know that when our season was over last year, we beat Miami of Ohio. It was hard for every one of us to watch them go win the MAC championship the next week against Central Michigan. Central Michigan is one of the opponents that we didn't deliver. At the end of the game, we had an opportunity in 2 minutes to get it done. So I think our guys have the confidence necessary to know that we are capable of getting ourselves into that position. Now we got to play good football week in, week out, and we got to play complete football. We got to be able to run it. We need to run it. We got to be able to stop the run. We got to be able to get after the quarterback when we need to, and we got to be able to throw it when we need to, and we got to play good special teams. So this is a great conference from top to bottom, and we got to play our best football, and you don't have any, leeway, if you will. There's no non-conference games. You got to be ready to go next Wednesday night because every one of them matters, and our guys know that and are looking forward to that.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Jack McMullen.
Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
So I know that the main worry defensively for a lot of these coaches in the Power Five that were starting late August, early September was tackling, right? Hey, are our guys going to be able to bring people down just because they haven't been able to? obviously that's going to be a concern, but what other concerns kind of jump out to you, a week out of a game?
We haven't played in a long time, so just all the things you worry about before the ball is snapped, the pre-snap penalties, making sure that we're clean, making sure that we do a good job of staying locked in and focused and playing the next play. You build up so much emotion. You want to go out, you want to execute at such a high level, but it's not a perfect game. And our guys are going to make a mistake as long as they're giving their best effort. And as long as we play the next play with that kind of mentality, we're going to be in good shape here. And so the one thing you get yourself worked up for, because it's been such a long time since we played in a game, obviously the concerns you just talked about with tackling. We can't go live every day in practice because then we'll beat each other up and we won't have any bodies when it comes time for the game. I think we've done a good job of mixing that in when we had to and then backing off when we needed to. And so, our guys are ready. Obviously just want to continue to make sure they, prepare themselves every single day between now and next Wednesday. And let's make sure we go out there and we don't put too much pressure on ourselves where we can't go out and play loose, have fun, fly around, and let the game take care of itself.
And then, Coach, one more from me. I know that, during the summer, you guys were kind of split into position groups when you were worried about, obviously we're still worried about the virus, but, when you couldn't really come together as a unit. How do you feel over the last couple of weeks, all these position groups have kind of meshed and formed that cohesive offense and defense?
Yeah, no question. The meeting part of it's still the challenge that we face every single day, with social distancing. We can't even have, we've never had a team meeting. The only time I've ever been able to address the team is on the practice field at the end of practice or during a practice. So that part has always been tough because you worry about the team building aspect. You worry about the togetherness, but our coaching staff's done a great job of doing the best they can. We've had some still team meetings on Zoom where we've gotten everybody together and, we've had some team building activities that way, but it's just part of the challenge. And, and again, I'm thankful for having a veteran team with 22 seniors that these guys know each other, and so they've done a good job on their end of it, of trying to continue to keep the team aspect and the team mentality together and intact. So it's been a challenge, but I'm really proud of our guys for doing everything that we can to still keep that intact and still keep it in a good place.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got another one from Ian Hansen here.
Yeah, so I know you talked about, you lost Ryan Rimler last year. Can you kind of talk about the kicking battle going into the season?
Yeah, and obviously that's been probably one of the battles that's not been talked about a whole bunch, but that's still a competition that we are going to go take us right up to game day in Oxford there. So between Jack Knight, Jake Chanove, and then Jacob Lewis, who's a true freshman, those three guys have been competing and battling that out every single day. We try to put them in pressure situations in practice where they deliver a kick. Obviously, I like to stand right behind them and make sure they know that there's a trophy at stake. And, the hardest. So I challenge them and try to put pressure on them there and practice the best I can. But that competition is going to go all the way up there until game day and get them as many kicks between now and then as we can. But it's been a good battle. There's been good days for each one of those young men. So we're just going to keep that going until game day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anything else for Coach? If we're all good on Coach, we'll let him get out of here. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you guys very much. Have a great day.
And we will we'll bring in our guys here. I believe we're going to start with Bryce Cosby, senior safety.
Bryce first.
Just make sure you get home. Tyson, you ready for Bryce?
Yes, we're ready. Bryce, thank you for joining us this morning. Appreciate it. Just come off the practice field. You want to give us some just general thoughts on where you guys are as a team and how excited you are to get things started at Miami in a week?
Definitely. With it being game week, the energy is definitely there. I think we have a lot of confidence and swagger as a team right now. Like I said, it being game week, it's just a lot of energy and the tempo is definitely up. The focus is there, and more than anything, we're just ready for November 4th. So right now we're just honing in on the game plan and taking it a day at a time and taking advantage of these last couple of days of preparation that we have as a team.
Okay, we'll start with questions from Jordan.
Hey Bryce, I know a little bit ago Drew told me that you were the one who came up with the Detroit or Bust mantra motto that you all have, and I was just wondering from your perspective, how did that come about? How did that idea come into your mind and become something that this team really embraced?
Yeah, so really it started over Christmas break for me. I was at home watching a lot of the MAC schools compete in bowls, and I didn't even watch the MAC championship because I just didn't want to. But just the simple fact of I felt like I knew what we had as a team and what we had in our locker room, and I feel like we missed out on an opportunity, to say the least, last season. And it definitely built a fire in me. I can remember being at the gym watching Kent State. I think they won their first bowl game this past season. I don't know if that's correct, but it was either their first one or the first one in a long time. And I was at the gym while that was on. And that was just some added motivation, and it made me realize the only goal for us as a team next year should be Detroit. And I feel like anything less is a disappointment. And so I just sort of just came to mind, Detroit or bust. And then I sort of just kept it to myself as my own motivation at first. And then we were in the weight room, and this was during winter workouts. I wasn't really liking the energy of the room early on in the work or after the workout. And, I guess you could say I kind of went off on the guys and told them, this season it's Detroit or bust. That's the only mentality. And after that, we sort of just took it and ran with it as a team. And so that's sort of how it came into fruition.
So that would have been January then, where you introduced that, I guess, to him?
Yeah, probably January, February, somewhere around that time.
Right. Were they receptive to it? Like initially, did they say maybe hold back when you were off on them, or were they just very receptive right away?
I think everybody knows me being a senior and me being here for a long time, having played a lot of games. I think everyone knows I have everyone's best interest at heart. At the end of the day, I just want to win, and I'm a team first guy. So they know I'm not the type to just go off for no reason or just to talk for my own health. If I say something, I mean it, and it's with good intentions. And so, immediately after I said it, fired a lot of the coaches up that were in the weight room at the time, Coach Gilbert, and all the guys were receptive, and they agreed, and they hopped right on board. So there wasn't any backlash or anybody that was against it. It was all hands on deck from that point forward.
Thanks, Bryce.
We'll go to Blake Dollier.
Thank you, Bryce, for your time. I'm Blake Dollier with NewsLink Indiana. I wanted to ask, when you walk out onto that field for the first time, knowing obviously that you may not have had a season at all, what's going to be going through your head?
For me, it's more so just looking at it as a blessing, and how fortunate we are to even be in this position today. As you stated, there was a time where we thought we probably wouldn't be playing football this fall, and to be in the position we are is a blessing, to say the least. And I appreciate having this opportunity with the guys that we have in our locker room, and we're going to do our best to take advantage of it every single week. But as you stated, it's going to be a surreal feeling. It's been an emotional roller coaster. I've said it, plenty of times. It's been an emotional roller coaster, to say the least. But now that we're here, it's all about taking advantage of this opportunity and realizing, what we've been presented with, and how fortunate we are to be where we are today.
Awesome. And one more thing, I asked Coach Neu kind of the same thing. Obviously, with the seasons getting later in the year, kind of changing, weather getting colder, how are you guys as players going to respond when come the day there may be some snow, some sleet, some kind of nasty weather out there? What are you guys going to do to kind of mentally stay with the game?
Well, yeah, we're a veteran team, and I think through anything, you have to keep the goal in mind and always have a clear vision in where we're trying to go. And we know where we're trying to go, there won't be any weather elements. It'll be indoors. And so if that's the motivation, then we need to get through. We have to take whatever we're presented with head on. As most people know, we're one of the only schools in the MAC that's being built right now. But since I've been here, we've never had an indoor. So we've been forced in some certain situations. We've had to practice in those elements. And so, it's never going to be easy for any side. But I think, it's about who fights through it and realizes that at the end of the day, we have a game to win. And, whether that be, as you stated, snow, sleet, extreme low conditions, it's all about the end goal, and that's to win. And so, we've all played football for a long time on this team. We know it's an outdoor sport, and we know that once you get to November, December, it can get cold, and things can get a little treacherous when it comes to the weather conditions. But that's all part of the game, and in my opinion, it can be used as an advantage to whichever team disregards the conditions and like I said, keeps the end goal in mind. And so, as a leader, I think that's on us as seniors to reciprocate that message to the team and make everybody realize that no matter what it looks like outside, we've got one goal, and that's to get to Detroit, where we won't have to worry about weather conditions.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Other questions for Bryce from anyone?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Tyson, I can hop in here.
Go ahead, Jack.
Bryce, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. So you guys have a super exciting defensive back unit, and I know that a lot of people think that, it's the best in the MAC. In terms of just being around those guys during this, COVID pandemic and, finally bringing it in with the entirety of the defense, how exciting is it that you're about to play another game with this veteran athletic defensive back unit?
It's very exciting. I can remember having conversations with, all the guys in the DB room, and just how we knew if we had the opportunity to play that, we were going to try to go out there and do what we do in a sense. And so, obviously there's a lot of work that comes behind it. I tell people all the time, it wasn't always like this from day one. When we came in as freshmen, we had to take some on the chin. We had to take a couple losses to get to the point where we are today. And by no means do I feel like we've made it or, anything like that. I'll leave that up to everybody else. The only thing we focus on is getting better every day. And, I push them just as much as they push me. And so the sense of accountability, the work we put in through the week, and the sacrifices we make off the field, I feel like breeds that confidence within our group to go out and make plays and execute on a high level. And so it's definitely exciting knowing that we do have a talented secondary. I think the confidence is there, and it's been there since last year, and it will continue on into this season. But like we always, I think something we carry on through our secondary room is just staying humble and always coming to work with a open mind and open heart every day, because as a DB, snap of a finger, the whole perspective about you could be changed, and we understand that. And so we don't try to really get into that too much. We just focus on doing our job, working hard, and preparing as much as we can so we can execute and make plays on game day.
Bryce, I've got one more for you. You used the word swagger about the defense. A lot of people are using the word swagger about Tyler Stockton, implementing his defense. How do you feel like you guys have turned the corner in terms of swagger, and why is that word being used so often?
Yeah, I think Coach Stock, he's just a player's coach. And, he came in and he oozes passion. He oozes confidence. He accepts nothing less but your best across the board, whether that be D-line, linebackers, defensive backs. And if he feels like, we've done a great job, he'll acknowledge that. And if he feels like we've done a poor job, he'll acknowledge that as well. And so I feel like anytime the leader of your unit is that way, in a sense, when it comes to always confident, always oozing with swagger, always, holding himself to that standard, it gives you no option but to, have the, effect all across the board when it comes to D-line, linebackers, and DBs. And so I feel like, when your defensive coordinator is oozing confidence and he's telling you all that you're capable of this and you can do this and you can do that, it gives you no choice but to feel that way, because this is the guy that's with us every day. He knows us better than we know ourselves, and he draws up the X's and the O's at the end of the day. And so I really think it's just about how he conducts himself. It's really just oozed off onto us, and I feel like deep down inside we knew we had the talent. And, with him just reassuring us of that, it's really just let us play loose and go out there and do what we do.
Bryce, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Let's go to Ian Hansen.
Well, you kind of answered my question about Stockton, but going on with the defense, Coach Neu is excited about the grad transfers, the pass rush. Can you talk about your perspective in that area and how that can help you as a defensive back?
Yeah, absolutely. Defensive backs, the whole defense is nothing without, we talk about it in football, offense and defense. It starts up front before anything else. And so, the D line can save DBs in a lot of ways. It might be a play where you might be beat, but we get a sack, and so it all works out. And so, everything works on a string. We help them out, they help us out. The longer we can cover, the more time we give them to, get pressure on the quarterback. And so, like I said, we're nothing without the defensive line. They make us go. And so, I feel like any championship level defense that you look at from the beginning of time, I guarantee there was a presence up front. And so I think we understand that, and so do they. And, I'm excited to see what they do going into this year.
Thank you.
Connor Smith.
Hey, Bryce, this is Connor Smith from Ball State Daily News. How you doing this morning?
Good, how you doing?
Doing well, thank you. I just want to know, just given the fact that under normal circumstances, you guys would be in the middle of your conference play at the end of October. I just want to know, given COVID, given the delayed start and the pandemic, what has kept you motivated over these past few weeks or months, for that matter, despite the delayed start?
For me, it's always been, I feel like when you get to this point in your life as an athlete, working out, things like that, things of that nature is just routine. And so just because I wasn't on campus, it really didn't just give me like a go ahead to just chill and relax. I think it's just a part of my nature. I'm sort of just wired that way now, that I always feel like I need to be working out, doing something, getting better. And said it before, I just try to look at it in an optimistic way, a chance to, really hone in on my game that much more, a chance for me to get that much more healthy, take care of my body, and really hone in on what I may have viewed as a weakness in the off season to improve on. And then, I knew, some guys might not take advantage of that time, and I tried to just relay that message to my teammates that, we got to focus on what we can do to get better as a team. And that, Coach Neu, I think the coaches did a great job of telling us we will be playing football. It's just a matter of when. And, as time went on, rumbling started to happen that the MAC might come back. We saw what happened with the Big Ten, and that's when we really got excited. And then soon enough, we got to go ahead and play. And so I think the best thing we did through it all was we stayed together as a family. Even though we were apart, the coaches set up a group me messaging app, and, we were sending videos of us working out, guys eating right, sending their meals, things of that nature, just to, motivate each other. Because, if I see, somebody on the offensive side of the ball or somebody in my secondary room doing what they need to do off the field, then, I feel like I got to do the same. And so it was just a sense of accountability across the team, and the coaches did a great job of, reassuring those positive messages to us on a daily. And, I think we took advantage of, it was an unfortunate situation, but we made the best of it.
All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Any other questions out there for Bryce? If there's nothing else, Bryce, we'll let you get out of here. Thanks for joining us today.
Okay, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks. And we will bring in momentarily here Drew Pitt, senior quarterback.
Ready for Drew Pitt?
We are. Drew, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. We'll get to some questions here, but if you could just kind of give us some thoughts on how preparations are going from Miami.
Yeah, things are going great, flying around, having fun, excited to be back out on the field. I think everybody's kind of chomping at the bit to get back out and play a game, which is only about 5 days away now. So we're all excited. Preparation's going well. Got a couple extra days with Miami preparation. So we feel ready as we could ever be going into this game.
All right, Jordan, do you have something for Drew?
Yeah. Hey, Drew. We just talked to Bryce about how he came up with the Detroit or bust, mantra motto that you all have. I know, you told me, a while ago that he's the one who came up with it. But were you there when he initially just brought that up to the team?
Yeah,
And
yeah, I was. It was at a winter workout. It was kind of spur of the moment things that we were all kind of getting ready to break it down, and he kind of had something to say, and that's what came out. So either whether he thought about it before or after, kind of before winter workouts or during them, whatever. But yeah, it was just kind of a spur of the moment thing, and it kind of just as soon as he said it, it stuck, and we run with it.
Was that like January or February? Do you remember exactly when that was?
I want to say it was February, mid-February.
Gotcha. And I guess just when he came up and said that, you said it stuck, but just were you surprised at all that I know he's a senior, but were you surprised at all that he was that vocal about it, or was it just like that's kind of who Bryce is and you expect?
That's Bryce, man. He's loud. He talks. He's one of the leaders on this team as much as anybody. So he whatever he has to say, everybody's going to listen, and that's something that came out, and everybody knew what it meant.
And then last question that I got for, and then I'll be myself, Tyson. Just when you think about that mantra and you think about the practices you all have had ahead of Miami this upcoming Wednesday here, are there moments you can point to where you feel especially confident in what you've been able to see in this group, knowing the season was on and it was off, it's back on again? Just any moments you can point to that give you confidence?
Yeah, I think just the competition that we have amongst each other. When the ones go against the ones. Everybody's flying around and things get heated. We get angry, but we know we're teammates and we forget about it once we walk off the field. But, that competition that we have, it's just on another level this year. And so I think that's kind of one of those things that I look at and I'm like, that's a team that we need to be, is one that competes even with each other. And when we go into a game, we turn it on, and it's once those lights hit the field, it's game over.
Great. Ian Hansen?
Yeah, so Coach Neu talks about, balance. You guys can run when you want to run, pass when you want to pass. Can you talk about your perspective on that and how you guys can build off of being the top scoring offense from last year?
Yeah. Last year was a great year for us. We obviously are missing some people from last year's team, but I think we can do just as much this year, and a lot of that is just kind of the guys we're returning know how to make plays. We're more experienced this year. And we know that people aren't just going to come out and lay down and give us what we want. We know we have to work for it. But I think a lot of it comes with kind of the freedom that coach has given me to get us into the best look based on whatever the defense has given us. And, he's given me a lot of freedom, and my confidence has gained through all of that.
Thank you.
Connor Smith.
Hey, Drew, this is Connor Smith from the Ball State Daily News. How you doing this morning?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. I know we were just kind of talking about it, but you've really been vocal about Detroit or bust and going out there and winning a championship. And we were kind of talking about what's kind of giving you that confidence. Would you say that with the delayed start, having these extra practices, that maybe there's a little more confidence, especially now that you've been on the team for a little longer compared to years past?
I think just the years adding up, yeah, definitely attributed to my confidence, the confidence I have in myself, the confidence I have in this team. I think when the season was canceled, we didn't really get a fall camp. So the past 5 weeks that we've had has kind of been that fall camp. So kind of feels more normal now getting into a season, starting to play. Kind of the transition's about the same, going from a camp to a season type preparation period. So for us, I think the confidence is not lacking anywhere because we kind of went through that camp type situation.
And then talk a little bit about your receivers group. I know Antoine Davis is returning, and it's very veteran heavy with guys like Justin Hall, Johannes Tyler. What are you most looking forward to about working with them again?
Yeah, they're smart players. They're out there and they understand defense just as much as I do. They see the holes and they understand what I want them to do. And we're on a good level that, I trust what the decision that they're going to make when they run a route. And same thing for them. They know where I'm going to throw it, and they understand what I want out of them. So, yeah, I think that confidence that we have in each other, it's a two-way street, and kind of having that gel, that mesh that we've had for the last almost 3 years now, working with all of them, it has grown tremendously.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, Jack McMullen.
Drew, how are you, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So just kind of getting to Miami, because we now, after all these months, can actually look at an opponent, right?
Yeah.
What do you remember about what they did particularly well, or an aspect of their defense that you felt like you exploited last year and maybe even on film so far?
Yeah. Looking at kind of film the last almost 2-3 weeks now, watching them, they're not too crazy up front in what they do. They're not too crazy in the looks they give, the blitz looks. It's pretty simple, but they just try to beat you in the football game. In the grand scheme of things, they try to out-execute, make you make bad decisions, make you jump off sides, do things that aren't sound football. They don't do too much, like I said, coverage-wise either. So everything's going to be pretty base and simple. They're just going to try to beat us execution-wise.
Okay, Blake Dollier.
Hey, thank you, Drew, for your time. I know you talked a little bit about Miami's kind of tricky offense. What's your message going to be to the team going into that game, just to kind of help them keep their cool and make sure everything's really put together on the field?
Yeah, I think just kind of playing our game, staying focused on what we do best, sticking to our best players, our best plays, getting the ball in the hands of the playmakers for us. That's kind of the best thing that we can do. Offensively, we can only control the offense. The defense is going to have to do their job, and special teams do their job. So for us, offensively, it's just doing what we can do to help our defense get off the field and stay off the field.
Awesome. Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
Other questions out there for Drew? If there's nothing else, Drew, we'll let you get out of here. Thanks for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. See you guys.